Hello, welcome to Life After the Game. My name is Yaa Agyemang. And Life After the Game, on this show, we bring to you what our sports legends who are no more in active football are doing with their lives. I'm currently in the environs of Usu and precisely at Sun City Hotel and apartment. We ran into an ex-player. Most of you don't know much about him, but he's currently very active in the local scenes and the local football. We have an amazing personality, and we'll be talking to him and getting up close and then knowing what he's doing with his life. Do stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back from the commercial break. Today, my guest on this show is no other person than Kim Grant. And I'm sure most of you are wondering who we'll be having this chit chat with. I'll go to my guest for this episode. Welcome to Life After the Game.
Thank you. Nice to see you, Nana.
And how has life been treating you?
It's been good. It's been challenging, but enjoying every moment so far.
Okay. And what have you been up to these few days?
These few days, just more or less reassessing what I can improve on regards to the club itself, the infrastructures, and obviously the playing body. Analysing where we can improve on in our game situations over the NC tournament. Obviously, we tried our very best to get to the finals, and unfortunately, we lost in 2 matches on penalties. But the most important is we didn't lose those games actually in 90 minutes. And what I'm trying to do is build a winning mentality and a winning team for the following season.
Okay, but before we get to that, we'll touch base on whatever you're doing, especially when it comes to your coaching and then the club and what you're doing with it. But let's come to your personal life. I'm sure most people would want to know what's going on in your life. Are you married?
No, I was married in the past, but obviously I got divorced and everything, so I'm not married currently.
So you're single?
Yes, kind of.
You smiled.
But,
is there somebody?
no,
Because
I've got my family in the UK, and I'm obviously based in Czech Republic. So at the moment, I'm not married.
At the moment, you're divorced. Okay, single ladies out there watching. The coach is very much single and ready to mingle. Those of you that are very much interested. Do you have some kids?
Yes, I have some kids in the UK.
In the UK, how old?
He's 18.
18?
Yeah.
Oh, you have just one kid?
Yeah.
A boy or girl?
Boy. He was here actually recently, so and family also in Czech. So.
And would you encourage him to also go into football?
Yeah, he loves football. So for me, it's important that what his education is important for me. But it's important also that if he wants to take football. He loves football. He's a Manchester United supporter as well. So
Manchester United supporter.
Yeah, so he loves Manchester United, but he's a very good player. But he's at a crossroads now. What he wants to do with his life.
What he wants to do with his life. And being a father, I'm sure you would want to take up that role and then.
Yeah, it's been difficult for him because obviously my career is taking me in different paths, and so it's been hard for him because I haven't been around enough. But now he's able to travel here and now try and support him as best I can to see where he wants to go with his career, his life.
Are you fully Ghanaian?
You can say I'm 50-50. I was born here, and obviously my father's Ghanaian and my mother's white English.
Where?
Oh, Takrady, second D.
Takrady,
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sure some Takrady people are watching you right now, so
so
you're very familiar with the Fanti language?
Small.
Small.
But I lived in Kujukrum, so
Kujukrum?
yeah, that's where we were based. So.
But you live most of your life in London?
Yes.
Most of it, and played there?
Yeah, I started my career at 14 with Charlton Athletic, and was there for about 9 years. Came through a youth club, youth system, and then made my debut for the first team when I was 17. So that's where really more or less my career started.
Okay, so but then when we come to what you're doing currently, your coaching, how did you get into coaching?
It kind of started really when I was playing in Japan, and when I was roughly 33, and over the years, the latter stages of my career, I started taking notes of training sessions that I enjoyed as a football player, and obviously I played it across 18 professional football clubs, and obviously I had so many different type of coaches. I worked under Brazilian coaches, English coaches, Portuguese coaches, German coaches. So there was a variety of coaching formats that I was following, and which I really enjoyed as a player. And obviously I see from, and I don't know what made me do it. I also used to note everything down, and I've still got a pile
Is
of.
that because you played and then it necessitated that thing that oh, after you have retired, then you would want to coach a team? And then...
No, it wasn't that at all. I just don't know what made me do it, and I just thought I'll keep it up. Maybe one day I'll need it, and I just kept compiled loads of tactical notes, training sessions, and everything. And then obviously, as I finished my career, I went back. I had these, and then obviously just to reminiscent what I'd done in the past as a player.
Currently, which team are you coaching?
I'm with Accra Hartlepool. I'm director of football and head coach for them.
For Accra Hartlepool. Yeah. And how have you transformed the team so far since you took over? I think you took over from last year.
Yeah, December. I came in. I started more or less from January. Yeah, but my official contract started in end of 1st of December. But because of the Christmas break, I officially started training the boys up in January.
But until you came in, I think Accra Hartlepool had a few challenges and problems, and then they struggled.
Yeah, you know,
you pretty much come in and then you turned the team around. I have been listening in on what you have been doing.
Phobia, right?
I wouldn't disclose that now because obviously you are associated with them now, so I just want to keep it on the low. And then, so what was the tactics? What do you bring on board that changed everything? What are you doing different?
For me, I'm not doing any different. For me, I just try to work on the psychologist part of the players, and also I try to get them to believe in what they do. You know, if they're good players, they have to help them enhance that potential. And obviously, tactically, we're organised, more disciplined, more get the players to enjoy the football, and that's important for me because I like everything to be simple, straightforward, and I always said to the players, you know, imagine when you were younger and how you used to go out and play in the local parks or whatever. You just play with freedom, you play with express yourself, and you enjoyed it, and that's what I want for them. Yes, it's at a professional level, but at the same time, they should just go out there and enjoy the football.
In your conversation, then, in whatever you were saying, you spoke about tactics. Currently, now we're playing AFCON.
Yeah.
And then you know what is going on. We played 3 games, and most people made a lot of noise. People were not too encouraged about the performance of the Black Star. If you've watched the game, what would you have done, and what are the tactics you would have used or done differently that
it's a little bit difficult to really comment on that because I'm not in the management. I'm not I train with the boys, so to really understand that situation, you've got to be on the ground. You've got to assess what kind of players you have around you, and more or less, I want players that will fit into my philosophy, my tactical approach. So I can't comment on Kwesi Appiah's or his approach because I'm not there. I don't see it. So every coach has a different philosophy, and you build your team around specific players. You recruit specific players for that role you want to play. Yes, you know, I'm sure that he wants the team to do as much as the supporters, everybody else. And I'm sure he's having sleepless nights because obviously it comes with a lot of pressure from both the government, from the supporters, from his...
So you wouldn't want that position, or you wouldn't want that...
it's not that I wouldn't want it.
You would want it? You like it one time in your life?
Time, I'm not looking at it. My priorities is with Accra Hartlepool to make sure that they're successful for the short term and the long term.
Short term and long term. How long do you intend to be with Accra Hartlepool?
Well, my mandate is for 3 years.
Yes,
that
is the
contract. Yes.
So after 3 years, you're out?
Well, that's if I'm wanted, and it also depends. It's not always depend on me. Results is a factor. I must, priority is to make sure this club has a sound footing to actually be successful in the local scene, and as well as try to get into CAF competitions.
Okay. Ever since you came in to coach Accra Hearts of Oak, do you think there are certain players that you feel you have trained, you have brought them up that they could have probably been tipped for Black Star call-up that they did not?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, I came and I inherited the players. I brought in some players from the youth
But then I
Aurora.
was also reliably informed that as soon as before you came in, some good players had also exited the team.
Yes, but I wasn't here. So for me,
So
those
you don't
those
know.
those players that really left was
You don't
before
have a
before I
taste of
came.
them.
So, but regards to that, I can't comment because I wasn't here. So I already came when these players were already here, and what I've tried to do is just work with the time constraints because the NC just started. There was limited time for transfers and everything. So I just got my head down and worked hard and make sure that these boys performed and really prepared themselves psychologically and tactically as well.
Aside coaching, is there any other role you play in Accra Hearts of Oak?
Yeah, obviously I'm a director of football for the club. Basically, I have overall control of the football aspects, both on and off the field, putting in infrastructures, transfer policies, recruitment policies, scouting policies, other policies that which help enhance the team, and also to build for the long-term strategy of the club and try to build a core DNA philosophy for the club from the Royal Oaks to the Auroras right through to, so whatever we do is a continuation for the long term.
That's a big role to fill in because before you came in, I mean, the fans, in Ghana, a lot of people love football, and then if their team is not doing too well, they complain a lot. And you coming in, I'm just thinking that you would have preferred to just take up the coaching job and left the other side. But combining these two roles, how has it been effective?
On that side of things, I've already been doing that roles anyway previously without people.
I think you're just the person that like to be on the quiet side because
You can say that.
work to speak for itself.
Yeah, I think it's no, action speaks louder than words. And for me, there's a lot of comments were made before when I came and stuff. And
Which are some of the comments.
I was just saying the role's too big for me. He's not capable of doing it, stuff
Why
like that.
do you think they say that?
I don't know, but that's the problem. They don't know what I've done with my history, my career. So it's when somebody comes out of the cold and it's they look at Accra Hearts of Oak as a huge club and to take two roles in that position. But for me, it was a challenge, and I've been doing those roles over the years. So for me, it wasn't like I was coming to something new. I was director of football, technical director at Sharks, Emina Sharks, before I came. And before that, I was also with Between Dwarfs. So I know the local scenes anyway. Prior to that, I went abroad in Asia. I was coaching in Asia. I was with West Bromwich Albion for 7 years as a European elite scout. So I've done a lot of groundwork, and also I've been doing coaching. I set up an academy in Europe. As well as I've worked underneath some fantastic coaches and CEOs and directors of football. So I've done my groundwork, I've done my learning, and as well as doing my coaching courses with the English FA. And so but people don't know because I've been very low key.
Because from my interview with you, I can see that you have a lot of experience from listening to you. So if you were to name your first Black Star 11, what would it be?
It will be just 11 of me.
11 of you, no, but they are not
I'm
so
joking.
Then you would want to give us your first 11.
It'll be.
In terms of
I would have to
defense.
sit down and think about it.
Don't think about it. Just, I mean, the players that are
I
there
know,
now.
but there's some fantastic players in the past as well, and so but then obviously there's a lot of political issues before during my time, not political but conflict.
So in terms of strikers, since you don't want to pinpoint, in terms of
strikers, for me, obviously I'll include myself, and then I'll probably go for Tony Yeboah and Abidi Pele. Because that's where us three of us played anyway together. So I think if you look at that side of things, then you look at that front line. If they are now in present, I think there'll be a hell of a combination now. Currently, obviously, our players are getting a little bit aged now. Obviously, Yaa Agyemang, Didier are all moving on with their careers, and so it's very difficult. But you would say Yaa Agyemang has probably been prominent because he's been high goal scorer for the national
So
team.
you would tip Asamoah Gyan over Didier or you or any of them?
In his prime, yes. Obviously now he's coming to and he's had a lot of injuries, and I understand that he still wants to do something, and he's got a lot of experience.
But then I think Jordan has proven himself.
Yes, in the short term now, but if you overlook over his short career in the Premier League and everything, he hasn't been consistent enough. And but so far he's doing really well in the AFCON, and I'm really pleased for him.
I'm sure by now most people know that you're currently the coach for Accra Hearts of Oak. But I'm sure most of the fans would love to know your long-term goals for the club.
Obviously, our main priorities is to get to CAF. But unfortunately, we have to put those foundations and structures in place so we can build on that. Hopefully, by next year, we will be in a position to actually challenge for the league and qualify for the CAF. And and it's got to be a long-term sustainability of that success. And really, that's what obviously we got prior to. We had the former Mark Noonan, our CEO, who's the American who left. And
I'm not cutting you short. Do you think the club is going to be patient for you to do that long term?
I would like to think so because
in Ghana, it's as soon as you start losing or even a draw or something goes wrong, the fans put a lot of pressure on the.
But I think that's down to communication, and I think if the fans have to understand that you can't build it. Yes, it's a big club, and I understand they want success instantly, but if the structures and the foundations are not in place, you can't just keep having a youth academy teams, because that's supposed to be feeding into the main clubs, because so it's more sustainable. So also it's a business, and the club is a company and needs to also sell players and reinvest in the players and reinvest the structures. So all these things we want to put in foundations right from the under 17s to under 19s, then into the Sharks. Into the Phobians team, and
that's going to come for you.
No, I was there already, so I left them. Also,
you would want to prove them wrong.
No, for me it's not about proving the job. I was working with them. I've gone to another working environment, and my objective is to make sure that Accra Hearts of Oak has the long-term strategy plans. As well as with the support of Fred Moore, our new CEO. He's been brilliant since I've been at the club. We communicate every day.
So support.
Yeah, and also I have the football side of things. He's doing the business side of things, and obviously I'm in direct contact with Togbe, the majority shareholder, board chairman. Yeah, Togbe, and so it's. I think the structure is totally different from the past. And I think we've got more experts and more all-round structure in place now for the club to be successful. I understand short-term it's they've been demanding. The club has been not had success for about 10 years or so. So I understand the frustrations. We got a new Umbro Kids 3-year sponsorship deal coming. Our kids, we're going to be having a launch on Wednesday, on the 10th of July. So it's step by step. We're building for something really, really nice. Yeah. But it's also important that the supporters understand that this is a progress. They also have to buy into it and be patient with it, because what we do now is going to have a long-term effect for future success for the club.
That's quite interesting there. But now I'm coming to your personal life. You have retired and you're doing coaching, aside coaching, and then having all these big strategies for your long-term goals and all that. Is there any other thing you're doing that you want your fans to know?
No, but obviously I was setting up an academy in Europe. Obviously I've paused that. That was more or less to what I wanted to bring back to the game, and was to get players who are out of contract or struggling to get into professional football. So what I did was to set up a 6-week training program for professional players, amateur players who want to, because of my overall contacts with teams across Central Europe, UK and everything. So what I did was prepare players from all over the world, from Japan to US, from UK, players who are out of contract. And I bring them together, select about 26 players, and then train them for a good 2-3 weeks. And then I contact the European clubs, and obviously we play against Bundesliga teams during the pre-season. And so we compete and we beat them in the space of 6 weeks. So So that's kind of stuff I was doing prior to when I was looking for my next options. So it just kept me active. On the other side of things, also I was working for West Brom. I spoke about it. 7 years. I worked under Di Matteo, Roy Hodgson, Tony Mowbray, so all these big coaches.
And that comes to my very big question. Why leave all that and come back home to coach a local side? Because in terms of even the resources, you're better off in England than back home with any of our local.
I've always wanted to come back because I've tried to come back to Ghana to give something back to the youth. I was looking to set up an academy here. I was looking to set up a club here. But all that put on hold because obviously I have a family, I have a mortgage, so I still have to. So it's important that for me that financially and also I need to work. But obviously my ambition is to be a top coach. Yeah, and
in Ghana,
to be one of the best coaches in the world. I have to be ambitious.
So who's your role model?
There is not so much a role model, but I take like from various coaches, and I take their qualities and I mold it into how I want to be as a. Obviously, you got Klopp, you got Mourinho, you got Pep Guardiola, you got. Simone.
Do you have a personal relationship with any of these?
Not really, but I know.
Because you admire them, you have Di Matteo on your side and all that. You should be able to.
But, these things, I take the best out of them, and I use my experience. I've been doing football over 25 years, so for me, it's important that I take the best learn from those people, how they conduct themselves, how they coach, how they. Speak and interview, so all these learning process, and I'm still learning, and I'm still in the infancy of my coaching and director of football position. But long term wise, hopefully I'll be successful with Hearts. You never know, move on to another club, or I don't know. End of the day, it's if I'm happy here and the club is happy with me, maybe it can be, and the club is developed where I want it to go, then maybe it'll be good.
That's quite impressive because I'm listening to you and I'm very impressed. Like you have all these things ball up in your mind and things you want to do, and it's not that you are in here to play some sort of games with Accra Hearts of Oak, just try something else, but you actually have a strategy in place, and I wish you well and I pray it goes well because if it does, I'm sure you're going to be one of the big names in Accra Hearts of Oak.
I'll try. I know I'm going to give 100% for the club, and it's important that if I'm successful, the club is successful, and it's important. So yeah, I'm enjoying every moment. Might not last. In football, things can change very very quickly. But it's a challenge that I love challenges, and I want to prove myself that I can do it, and I believe I can do, and I will do it.
Because you have the support, so I don't see why you should fail. I mean, you might not necessarily get it right all the time, but it was pretty much in the media, and a lot of people heard that you said the weather conditions does affect players' outcome or their output. What's your take on that?
Oh, certainly. I think if you look across the southern hemisphere of Africa and majority of North African teams, most of the games are being played like late in the evenings. Of course it does, because you dehydrate very, very quickly. The temperatures, and I'm not saying that, I understand. I've played in these conditions. I've played here before, so I know exactly what it is. So it's not something that I've just come from Europe and I don't understand the process. But also, we have to think about the welfare of the players, because most important that if they're playing a high tempo at a top level, and 90 minutes, and the games are not 90 minutes, and if you not getting the right supplements, the right treatment and everything to look after these players, sooner or later, you got players who have heart defects as well, and the heat and the heat, and that has a major effect on that as well. So it's important that we have to look at that. It might not be now, might be maybe in the future. More about the health and safety of the players. That's going to be a priority for myself, for Accra Hearts of Oak, because these are our assets, and they have to perform to the maximum, and that's where you get best football. So it's not just about my players; it's general for football, because also you're coming at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and the sun is baking hot. Even supporters sometimes don't come because of the heat. And also it's nice to have the games under floodlights, but also it's all financial aspects as well. So I think overall we have to look at it.
In your coaching style, what are some of your favorite tactics and
Obviously,
your formation?
I like to be on the front foot. I'm a former striker, so I liked best form of defense is attack. And for me, I like to make sure that my players are always on the front foot. And if you look at majority of the top teams, most of them are really going for it every single time. So and I like to contain the ball, control the ball, and control the game. And that's what we've done through. And I think it surprised a lot of people. And the high intensity. Yes, and but again, you have to have the right mentality players who wants to work hard and buy into what you want to do. And I must admit, I'm very proud of the boys at Heart, because it wasn't easy when I first came, because my training sessions are very intensive, and that what you do in training is what you take into the matches. But they bought into it, and they replicated it really well. Unfortunately, we didn't get to the where we wanted to be, but I think everybody saw that what type of game.
So on a normal day, what kind of formation do you use?
I normally use a 4-2-3-1 formation, which but that can also, but that's not a static.
It changes.
It changes and when, because obviously I'm not going to go into details, but I like players who move a lot of the ball. Movement without the ball, and that's kind of but we work on it a lot in training, so it's very difficult for me to explain, because you have to be on the ground to understand, and then that's where players and teams struggle, because they don't know 1 minute one player is here, the next minute they have players there, and it's quite confusing for them, but we know exactly what we're doing. And that's why, if you look at Manchester City and Barcelona, how they play, the players are always on the move and in different pockets. So,
on that note, if you want to hear more, do stay tuned. We'll go for a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Welcome back from the commercial break, and I hope you're enjoying my conversation with Coach Grant. Now we'll get into how he started his career. Coach, how did you start your football career?
It's kind of started really from school. When I obviously left Ghana when I was 8, 9, and I went back to UK. And basically what I was doing was I was playing for my school, and I got picked up from the school to represent England under 14s, under 15s, to go to the England schools. That's when they had the soccer schools for England national team. And obviously I got to the last, I think, 32 of the group. And then from there, I didn't obviously carry on. I didn't get selected for the final 23 players. But from that, I played for the local regionals. It's called Sussex, Essex, different like regional, like a Volta region, for those regionals. And then I got scouted by Charlton Athletic. At that time, also playing for Brighton, under 14s, under 15s.
Pretty much, you were not so much into the local league. You did not play for any of the local league. You just had the luck, and then at that young age, you were just taken outside.
Because I didn't really, I never dreamt of being a professional football player. So I was just playing for fun. And it just went from there, and I got picked up by Charlton Athletic. And they offered me a 2-year scholarship, YTS scholarship. At that time, it was a government scheme where, after school and everything, you can go to any different kind of working environment. But that went to being selected by scouts, took me into the professional game. And then after first year, I did really well, playing for the youth side and everything. And then the following year, I got my professional contract at 16, 17, wow. And I went straight into the first team. And now it's the Premier League, but at that time it was like the first division until it was rebranded. So like we were obviously playing Manchester United in those times and stuff like that. So from there, obviously, with Charlton Athletic, I was there for 8 years. So that's where more or less my career started. And then I got sold to Luton Town for, I think at that time it was £150,000, which was quite a lot of money.
A lot of money at that time.
Then from there, I signed a 3-year deal. I was there for a year and I got sold to arch rivals, Charlton Athletic, arch rivals, Millwall. And again, I was there for 3 years, spent 3 years there. And then obviously my contract ran out. And as it was running out, a Belgian Premier League team from Europe came and bought me for, I think, £100,000, roughly £100,000. So I spent 2 years there. And from there, I went to Portugal.
Can I come in on a question on, I'm listening, the number of clubs you have played for.
Yeah.
Does that actually help in Black Stars selection? Because now, we have so many controversies, when people are outside and then they're playing in these European leagues and all that, the coaches prefer them over the local leagues and people have actually complained a lot. What's your take on that?
I wouldn't totally neglect the local scene because, there is different type of players that you want in your team. And for me, I would probably look for more local talents because these players are hungry. They want to achieve something.
As compared to the people
that already made it, there's a different desire and drive. I'm not saying that they don't still perform to the maximum.
They don't.
But
this is coming from the coach. They don't.
And also you have to think the times are different from my time when we played compared to now because it's much more, there's social aspects to it, there's exposure, there is very detailed and microscopic.
So how did you get the opportunity to get a Black Star call-up?
It's something that, again, the FA or GFA or whatever were doing their scouting around. And obviously at the time, I was probably one of the first ones actually come from Europe, an ex-Ghanaian who's playing outside. I'm more or less probably the one who actually opened the doors for the players now coming from Europe who were born with an African Ghanaian background, then coming to so you can say that I was probably one of the first ones to actually open the doors for that. But I got picked. People were aware of me what I was doing in UK, and obviously, they used my grandfather's background because I'm grandson of Pa Grant as well. So Pa Grant's firstborn. It's my father, so George Grant. So that's. Do
you have any regrets playing for Ghana Black Star?
Not at all. Not at all. That's something I always wanted to do. Obviously, I was born here and I had that drive because when I was playing in England and Europe, I've always had the ambitions to come back and do something in Ghana as a player, to play for the national team. But yes, there's things I could have done differently. But I think if you look back at the regrets, you will never move forward. So I tend to use those negatives to what I've done as an experience and try to not make those mistakes again.
Oh, okay. We heard some controversies in relation to your bonuses that were not paid and all that. You still don't take a cue from that and say that, look, this is what happened to me at that time, so I regret playing for Black Star or anything?
Not at all. I know there was lots of issues. There's divisions in the camp. You had the Kumasi players, you had the players who were playing abroad from Kumasi and players from Accra, and else. So I came into the middle of it, and it was a difficult. At that time, I think it was a difficult environment for me because you had two, factions or whatever. The political or not political, the management side of GFA was also a difficult situation.
This kind of problem has been really deep and it's way back. But even currently, there's still problems in Black Star.
Football has moved on, and if you don't have the right structures, the right professionalism, then we will always be stuck. And at the moment, even now, although the players' bonuses are being sorted now, then you're having issues with other African nations. So why do we keep doing it? Why have we not learned from it? And it's important that to find those problems and find a solution to resolve it, because that's kind of holding African football back.
The bonuses is always a problem.
Yes, it
but
is,
then
But
You look at the players and they themselves should even say that, look, if I don't perform at a certain level, I don't even, because look, I'm looking at what is going on now, the recent AFCON, and then looking at performance of the Black Star.
and for me, I believe incentives. Incentives. I don't believe that players should be getting. That's my personal opinion. That why would you be getting a huge bonus just to make an appearance? And for me, you got to be proud.
It
To,
even gives them a
yeah,
stage.
I'm not saying that.
platform to
Look,
showcase their talent.
that's how it is now, and that's what the players. I'm not, against what.
But then they are also arguing the fact that if you are to get injury or something is to happen to you now,
Yeah, but then
it
now
ends your career.
that's the
So-
responsibility of the federation to compensate for that, and that's part of the FIFA regulations that clubs and for example the English Premier League, any player that gets injured have to be compensated by the federation.
Are people compensated in Ghana?
I don't know if they're doing it in Ghana, but I know in English Premier League different laws, different strategies. So, for example, we had one player got injured in the training camp, and Atsus got injured. So how do they do it? It's a very thin line with regards to that. But end of the day, whether if you get injured, you're representing your country, and it shouldn't be about money. It should be about pride and wanting to do well for your nation, because that's where you came from, and that's what's giving you a platform to be playing in European leagues or any other big leagues. And also, it's important for the local scenes that the youth can see that there is opportunities for them to, because they're hungry, they want to be successful. So we need role models from the very top to the very bottom. So it's important that we look at these things and try to solve it, because it's holding us back.
Coach, what are some of your memorable moments?
In my career as a
Your
player,
career,
well, obviously I got to the playoffs final, obviously representing Ghana as well, although I didn't play long enough as I wanted. I've had so many ups and downs, and I think just everything is memorable for me, with negatives and positives. And I'm pleased that I've been able to finish my football and have the opportunity to carry on and work and still in the top clubs, professional environments, and taking on to being a coach. And it's not easy being a head coach, and it's tough for some people, and you got to have a thick skin, because if you don't have a thick skin and deal with certain situations, and also dealing with players every day by day, and but every single part of my career so far has been memorable. And on the football side of things, me scoring at Liverpool against Liverpool, playing at Old Trafford. So there's lots of it. Got into playing at Wembley, the old Wembley. We got to the playoffs final, getting promoted. So there's lots of things. And on the coaching side of that stuff, obviously I still yet to be successful, but I'm progressing. And obviously I was in Asia. I managed to help the team get into Asian AFC Champions League, Confederation League. And obviously now it's my turn here. And also the most important for me is about development of players. And I like to work with, I want to see players really do well. And I like to, whatever type of roles and type of players that come in, I really try to enhance the best out of them to fulfill the potential. And that's, for me, it's not about me, it's about the club, it's about the player himself. And if they go on to do that, go on to bigger things, that means I've left something for them to be a legacy from mine, because that's more important than me being the best coach or anything, because that's what you're brought to do, to enhance and develop players.
You still have some relationship with your football, the Ghana Black Star footballers that you played with?
Since I was obviously been out of the scene for a while, out of Ghana, yes, I'm still in touch with one or two players and everything, but it's only now that of the ex-players I used to play for, now I'm getting to re-engage with them, so it's because I'm now in the local scene, so they're around the media, they're around the football, so it's good to have that reminiscent coordination.
What's your relationship like with CK?
I don't have a problem at all. I think if you hold grudges or if you have personal issues, then I think that's not very, it's unfortunate. But for me, what's happened in the past or whatever, but I get on with everybody, and I like to leave my mark. I hate negativity, and I don't never hold grudges, because you know, you can't make everybody happy. And for me, it's important that I'm friends with everybody and make sure that whatever energy or whatever passion I can.
The interview with you has been very interactive, and if there's two things I've taken from you, it is your passion, and then secondly, to your positive energy. No negativity. You're very passionate about what you're doing, and then you have a lot of positive energy, and I think you're going to go very far.
Thank you
with
very
that.
much. Appreciate that.
And it's been amazing. I'm excited that you open up your doors and then allow the crew to come in and interview you. And this life after the game, we seek to know what you're doing with your life after you have retired from the game.
No problem.
So
And the last thing I wanted to say was, like, obviously we got this Phobia for Life thing, and they have to register because we're trying to get as much data to see how much fans is out there. The supporters have to register. It costs 2 cities, and basically we collect as much data as possible, and then try to build know how much fans and supporters out there. So as at the same time, they will get a receipt back from them, respond to, and then the data will be sent out back to the supporters. So basically, what we're trying to do is collect as much information, what the fans' engagement, and get them closer to the club as well. So it's important. But so if they go to the club official website, there is a infographics there with the numbers where they need to. So it's Phobia for Life, and with all the numbers. I can't remember the numbers top of my head, but
Phobia for Life.
Phobia for Life.
Website.
Yes, on the main social platforms, Twitter or Facebook, and obviously our new website is being built.
Oh, it's been very enjoyable. It's been fun. And I know the viewers have also enjoyed themselves. Those of you that didn't know what has been happening with Mr. Kim, now you know what he's doing backstage and how he wants to build Accra Heart of Folk in the long term and even in the short term, his dreams. But I did not ask. I'm sure the viewers would want to know this. What's your favorite food?
I like everything.
Fanti man.
So obviously Fanti Kenke.
Kenke.
No, it's I like all the dishes. So
Like
it's
all the dishes.
yeah. I don't have
Should
it.
be
I
a
don't
favorite one.
have. I really like abenkwan, fufu maybe, but sometimes it's too much. But I'm trying to watch my weight because too much microscope.
That's beautiful right there. On that note, we'd like to say a very big
it.
thank you
Thank you.
for allowing us to come in and then get up close and personally know what you're doing with your life.
Thank you.
We've come to the end of another episode of Life After the Game. You stay tuned and expect who we're going to have on our next episode. Take care and see you another time. Bye-bye.